I wanted to get this video out the way first thing in the morning because we talked about it late last night on the stream. A lot of pearl clutching, faint couch, because you get these weirdos who conflate anti-leftism with Trump supporting. So then when they hear me criticize them, they're like, "Oh man, you lost it. I used to be a big fan of you, man. You're wrong on this one." That type of stuff. But we talked about this in detail. I wanted to discuss it a little more in detail on a single video because I think it's something for everybody to sort of learn. This may be Trump's. Well, we can maybe debate if it's his worst take, but it's one of his worst takes for sure, in my honest opinion. Let's go into detail and we'll sort of talk about it along the way. But he says Democrats are going to destroy your Social Security. I have left it alone as promised, and I will save it, or I will save it. Excuse me. All right. So first and foremost, they do not want to end or destroy Social Security. If they wanted to destroy Social Security, that would be giving them a compliment. But let's talk about Social Security because this is the reality that a lot of people don't seem to understand because they have been, government propaganda has done a great job of explaining it in a way that defines it as what it's not. And they define it as, okay, it's the government. We're taking your money here and we're saving it and we're going to give it back to you because God forbid you be responsible enough to save your own money. That's not how it works, though. That's how it's being perpetuated. Social Security, what it actually is the current generation of workers funds the previous generation, so the current retirees. So it's not a case, unfortunately, though they perpetuate it like that, where they had your little gold just sitting in a box with your pretty little name on it, and they were just putting money in it and putting more gold in the box, and then you get to take the gold back when you retire. That's not how it works. How it actually works is that, again, they take the money from the current generation of workers and they're subsidizing the welfare of old people. And this is, again, where I lose a lot of conservatives who claim to be anti-socialist and so forth. I mean, you want to see a lot of these boomer conservatives go full, full leftist, threaten that Medicare, threaten that Social Security. They'll lose it. But no, like this is what it is. It's the current generation of workers subsidizing and let's call it what it is, welfare. It's wealth redistribution. The money that you had taken from you at the time when, let's say, you were a worker, if you are now retired and are of Social Security age, is gone. It's not there. It is not there. The money is gone. It was gone when they took it from you, essentially. They were already spending it. That's the reality. The money's not there. So you get even some of those guys that agree with me that maybe more on the conservative side, and they'll be like, well, yeah, I'm fine with it, and let's just give me my money back. They can't give you the money back. The only way that they could give you the money back would be for them to take money from somebody else. And we are right back to square one through through theft, taking the money and then again redistributing. That's the only way they can do it, unless you can maybe, which would be an idea, to like sell off federal land or something like that. Federal land, illegitimately claimed federal land, and use that to pay off that generation that's on it. But that's aside from that, through like more taxation, you're in the same position that you were before. If they take the money from other people to give it to them, it's still that sort of welfare statism. And when you discuss that or you word it like that and actually how it is instead of what people maybe perceive it as or what people want to see it as, you get these people who are like, okay, they may concede that point, but they feel like the can has to get kicked down the road. And this is another reality when it comes to government. The reason why it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and intruding on people's lives more and more and more is because that's just the nature of the state to grow. Because what happens is they create issues out of this. And they will then use those issues that were created because they sought the control and failed to deliver. They make an excuse as to why they use it more so to justify why they need to then take more money from people or have more control of people's money or resources or lives in general. there is no there's no like transitionary period, right? That's not the nature of the state, right? The only way to end this nonsense will be to end it immediately. That's the most efficient way to do it. It's one of those things when I talk about, like I talked about this with that, Federal Reserve, housing crisis, and so forth, and how you keep getting this bubble that raises, and the state tries to, whether it be through their central banking system or so forth, they try to, instead of letting the bubble burst, what they do is let the bubble grow. And because the bubble continues to grow, they want to maintain that bubble. Once it does end up popping, or in this case collapsing, it has to do that at some point. It's going to be a lot worse off than what it could have been if they just went ahead and let it pop and let people start to, bounce back from that. But when it comes to the Social Security, you got to just end it. Again, there's no way that somebody's going to have to take the L's. Like guys like me who have been paying into it, and I'm almost 30 years old, and I've been paying into it. That money's gone. I've accepted it. Cut my losses. Let me just start saving. I'm not advocating that the money gets redistributed. No, I'm saying stop taxing the people that. Let them keep their own money. If they save it, if they don't save it, that's on them. But when it comes to that, you have to allow people, and this is what people are going to say, right? Well, look at all the old people that are on it now. They're going to just die. What do you have to do? What do you do for them? If you want to take care of them, you go do that. I would much rather take care of my grandmother. I would much rather, let's say, I don't know, through my insurance plan or something like that. They say, hey, you can get $5 a month to, I don't know, donate to I don't know, some sort of fund that helps these old folks that are currently on Social Security. Maybe I'll do that. But I would much rather have control of my own resources to dictate that. And if somebody wants to do it or they don't want to do it, they want to save their own money, let them do that. I'll take care of my grandma. I got a problem with that. You know what I mean? But this problem doesn't get resolved by allowing it to exist, because it's one of the most criminal programs that does exist. And there are other criminal programs. I know there's going to be those who always talk about war efforts and stuff like that. But let me pull this up. Federal spending, because I think a lot of people get it twisted, because, and I did a video on this before, when you look at this spending, people look at this is kind of a misleading thing that people show, and they look at this big pie and they think that this right here is the entire, federal budget. So it's like, well, all they got to do is cut this and then they'll have more money for what have you. This is only the discretionary spending. The more accurate one is right here. And then you'll see they already spend more on Social Security, unemployment, and labor than they do on military, or just as much now. It's not like this, we're spending way more military than what they spend on Social Security. No, this is one of the most fat, like beefed up welfare status programs that exist. And then you got this over here too. Both of these should be completely eliminated. I'm not trying to hear nothing about, well, some people need it. All right, cool. Voluntarily give your money to them instead of forcing everybody to contribute through some inefficient and all these level of bureaucracy. So knows when the money actually gets to the person that needs it, how many other people had to get paid in the process. It's inefficient. It always will be. But that's one of Trump's worst positions. That's one of his worst positions. We got to eliminate this program. You are robbing people. And how it works, really, it's not just the current generations that's getting robbed. It's future generations, because as with everything, the money that they don't have, they essentially print it off. So what you're doing is basically selling off the assets of people that aren't even born yet. You got people that talk about like what are unfunded liabilities and stuff like that. These things that they've basically committed to. And so, again, kicking the can down the road, pushing a problem on somebody else. Isn't it weird how when you talk about like climate change and whatever they're calling it these days, and they talk about the future generations, right? Oh, we got to leave for the future generation. And nobody ever considers the government and their spending habits. And when it talks to you're making these commitments for future generations, and you're screwing over. You get double robbed, really, when you look at things like Social Security, when, the next generation that was already having their assets essentially stolen from. And then you look at the fact that they're getting taxed. And then you look at the fact that the money's being devalued because of the way Federal Reserve allows them to monetize their debt, and they're devaluing money in the process. So you're getting double and triple, robbed. That's one of Trump's worst positions. When I saw that, I was like, this fool is serious. But I get it. That's one of those boomer welfare status. They love that. Like they'll claim that it's not welfare because they think of it in a sense that I worked for it. Where they don't see it is that it is actually welfare. It's wealth redistribution. It's not, you didn't pay into it. It's not money that you were, and you can't get it back because of that. This is one of those things where you gotta cut your losses. A lot of people call it a Ponzi scheme. Government, if a regular person did what the government did when it comes to Social Security, they'd be in jail. They'd be in prison for that. Government can do it, and we just accept it as what it is. It's a rotten program, man. You're stealing from people money that, if you take the money, like over the years, like these people aren't even getting really a return investment. If it was that they were paying into it, let's say that. If they were actually having the control of that money and they could put it towards whatever they wanted to put it towards, they'd have so much more money. They'd have so much more money. And some people may piss it off. That's the right. You got to allow people to fail, man. You got to allow people to fail. And let's see if these people who care so much about the kids, the old people, and all, if they care so much about them, let's test it. Let people keep their money, and let's see if they will be putting their money towards it, or would they be keeping it and maybe having more impact, direct impact on where that money goes, or more so who it goes to. I would much rather have my money go to my family, my immediate friends, than I would some person that I don't even know. Especially with some of these boomers, they probably call me names. We talked about this on stream. I'm going to try to maintain monetization, so I'm not going to say what they probably call me, some of them. Nonetheless, abolish Social Security immediately.